3 years ago this week, we had Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on Fox News with Chris Wallace. And Chris Wallace asked him, if the Republican Party is successful in repealing the Affordable Care Act, which, as we know, they've since tried to do dozens and dozens of times, how will you make sure that Americans are insured? And Minority Leader McConnell said repeatedly that that was not the issue and refused to answer the question multiple times. And what's stunning, Lewis, I really like this flashback because this is the exact same conversation that Chris Wallace had with Paul Ryan just a couple of weeks ago, which is, wait a second, this is what you want to do, but how will you make sure people can afford insurance and have insurance? They still have not come up with the answers. And as we talked about earlier this week, again, the Supreme Court upholding Obamacare.
Yeah, you would think that after maybe a year or 2 or 3 years of this line of questioning, because this goes back further than 3 years ago, I think you would think that you would sit in a room with some of your comrades and you would say, let's at least have some type of answer, a sentence, one talking point that we can say that kind of gives people an idea of what we might do. They never did that.
Even if it's a lie, right? Or not necessarily a lie, but something they know will never work. At least have something you could say like, oh, we're going to fund, after we get rid of Obamacare, we're going to replace what Obamacare does by simplifying the tax code because we're no longer going to have like the earned income tax credit, which of course would be insane, right? It would be hugely regressive and it would hurt poor people, but that's what Republicans do. At least they could just say, let's use this talking point and say, this is how we'll pay for it. But they have not even come up with something like that.
No, it's just the what I call it now, the get rid of it mentality.
Yeah.
Obamacare, get rid of it. Medicare, Medicaid, get rid of it. Social Security, get rid of it. The EPA, just get rid of it.
Maybe even the Department of Education, who was it, Rick Perry or whoever it was, that they weren't actually, they knew there were more departments they wanted to get rid of. They just couldn't even remember all the ones that they wanted to can.
Yeah, but he remembered the Department of Education. And so the idea is just to get rid of things, but have no plans to fill in the gaps or fix whatever problems that might create.